In the taverns of Freehold and among the tide sages of Boralus, they speak of a song that rises with the storm, a voice that lures ships to their doom. An island where sea and sky rage as one, its secrets guarded by sirens that prowl its shores. But scattered across the land are clues, fragments of a forgotten past. Piece by piece, they reveal the truth. Since recently, a goblin salvage team stumbled upon this enigmatic island with a peculiar singing crystal at its heart. This discovery piqued the interest of the Arathi of Hallowfall, devoted worshippers of Beledar, who recognized the crystal's potential significance, and of the Earthen, who, in the absence of the Titans, are trying to forge a new path and deepen their understanding of their link to Azeroth. Little is known about this island, but ominous warnings from the tide sages of Boralus cast a shadow over the expedition. If the Siren's call doesn't lure you to your death, the storms will. Their words hint at the island's treacherous reputation. During the Fourth War, Siren Isle was briefly used by a Kultiran mining operation, an Ashvane-led venture seeking to harvest azurite. But that effort ended in eerie silence, their workers vanished, and the island's secrets remained buried. Now, as the expedition makes landfall, we find ourselves caught in the midst of another conflict. The Bloodwake Vrykul, Darktide Naga, and Bilge Rat pirates all vie for dominance over this patch of land. Upon discovery of the singing crystal, the expedition combined knowledge, goblin ingenuity, earthen craftsmanship, Arathi reverence, and understanding of Beledar lead to the creation of a device designed to study the crystal's exposed facets. The earthen build metal pylons around the crystal to focus its signal, while radiant remnants, small crystalline fragments found in Hallowfall, are used, alongside goblin batteries, to power the machinery. The crystal's energy signature is remarkably similar to that of Beledar, and it stretches for miles beneath the surface. As the machinery scans, it reveals a secondary energy source. Guided by the signal, the Earthen Bargus and the adventurer delve deeper into the island. They follow the trail to a cave where they discover an ancient stone tablet resting upon an altar. Motes of light flicker around the stone, illuminating the space with a soft glow. The air vibrates with a strange, melodic hum that seems to resonate from both the tablet's crystal markings and the rock beneath their feet, as if the very earth itself is calling out to them. They notice a faint, hand-shaped divot worn into the stone surrounding the lowest crystal on the tablet. Above this crystal, etched in ancient runes, are the words, "The Song of Circe." Upon interacting with the tablet, they find themselves transported into what appears to be ancient Vrykul ruins. Inside, 6 stone tablets are placed against the walls, each one etched with intricate carvings. These tablets reveal the story of Circe, the leader of the Vrykul Sturmvyn clan, and her kin, as well as Thrair, a Gaelorn, a storm elemental that only Circe could tame. Thrair was so fierce and loyal to Circe and her clan that they became feared and revered by the Winterscorn Vrykul, their enemies. 20,000 years ago, Yogg-Saron corrupted the keeper Lorcan. In his madness, Lorcan killed Thorim's wife, Sif, and blamed the frost giants for his crime. Heartbroken, the Lord of Thunder, Thorim, sought vengeance on the sons of Hodir. Subdued by his brother Lorcan, along with Freya, Mimiran, and Hodir, Thorim fell into a deep stupor as part of a plot to free Yogg-Saron. Lorcan exiled the Titan forged from Ulduar, causing them to scatter across northern Kalimdor, fractured in different clans. Seeking to dominate Storm Peaks, 2 of Lorcan's own creations, Vulcan and Ignis, brutish fire giants, formed an alliance with the Winterscorn clan of Vrykul to wage war against the other Titan forged. Thus, the Winterscorn War began. Deserted by their Titan forge keeper Thorim and besieged by the Winterscorn, the Sturmvyn clan, led by Circe, fled the cold Northrend region of Storm Peaks in search of a new purpose. Just as the Winterscorn were preparing for their great conquest, the curse of flesh struck. To strengthen their army, Vulcan and Ignis forged powerful molten golems and iron constructs of their own making, marching first against the Earthen, storming their underground lairs. The war ended when the Keeper Tyr came to the aid of the Earthen, enlisting the dragons in the conflict. Isera and Nosdomu enveloped the iron forged in a cloying mist, causing them to fall into an unconscious slumber, where they were sealed away in tomb cities across northern Kalimdor. Years later, after the Sturmvyn clan had begun their exodus, their prayers for a new purpose were answered. Circe heard a call, a plea for help. She led her clan to the source of this voice. Beneath the surface, encased in stone, they discovered a radiant golden crystal, carved as though by unseen hands. The sound emanating from it was no longer one of pain or pleading, but of calm and grace. They named it Hymasul, the luminous heart, and built a shrine around it. Though Circe spoke to the heart, its voice was faint, a whisper barely heard. Unlike most of the Titan forged in Ulduar, the Sturmvyn clan knew how to carve golems from stone and imbue them with life using ancient storm runes and willpower. Jardfir, the first carver of the Sturmvyn, used the song of Hymasul and the runes of old to create stone revenants, which stood vigil within the shrine and fought by their side. He also crafted a circlet from the radiant ore of the island, a ring adorned with smaller shards of the heart fit for Circe's hand. Through the circlet, Circe and Hymasul sang together. Time passed, and 10,000 years ago, when the Well of Eternity collapsed, their land was surrounded by black water. Upon the shores appeared a dark envoy of the old gods. Speaking on behalf of the Deep One, likely Enzoth, he demanded obedience in exchange for powers gifted by the old gods. The Vrykul refused, and Circe struck down the envoy, his head falling under her blade. The fearless leader vowed to protect the heart with her clan and take on its pain as their own. At that moment, an army of scaled Naga attacked the Iron Vrykul. In the ensuing battle, countless serpents fell, and many Iron Vrykul were slain. Thrair, the storm elemental, rose high above. The sky cracked open in fury, tearing through endless waves of Naga. Stone revenants crushed against the relentless tide, and the winged Valkyrie descended to aid their kin. Despite the strength of their forces, the Naga overwhelmed the Vrykul, forcing Circe to order a retreat to the vault that housed the heart. Thrair was gravely wounded, his powers spent, his body unraveling. At Circe's request, Thrair was taken to the vault. To stabilize his wounds, the Vrykul forged 5 rune keys to harness the tempest that roiled above. They sealed Thrair in stasis, hoping the fury of the tempest would heal his wounds. Only Circe remained, standing resolute against the encroaching darkness, determined to face it alone. And thus, the story written on the ancient tablets ends. One event sheds light on what befell those who set foot on Siren Isle. Inside the vault, the hero finds a journal, tattered, waterlogged, yet stubbornly preserved, still legible enough. Written by the captain of the ship, Maiden's Whisper, it reveals the horrors faced by the crew and the members of the Ashvane Company who had chartered the ship. They had come seeking Azeroth, but the island had far darker plans for them. The captain's first entry paints an unsettling picture. From the very start, the isle felt wrong, unnaturally still, as though the land itself were holding its breath. When they attempted to dock in the sheltered bay, they encountered a graveyard of shattered ships, forcing them to anchor elsewhere. Despite the eerie atmosphere, they pressed on, chopping down the dense forest, mining Azeroth, and preparing to haul it away. But the island fought back. Wyverns swooped down, snatching crew members who wandered too far from the others. Krollusks circled their camp at night, their glowing eyes unnervingly aware, as if observing them instead of hunting. And then there were the golden silhouettes, haunting figures that seemed to appear from nowhere. The journal recounts how wailing storms struck at odd intervals and monstrous crabs emerged from the depths, dragging men screaming into the ocean. A particularly violent storm eventually shattered their ship. They managed to repair one wreck, but after loading the precious azurite, there was only enough space for part of the crew to escape. They drew lots, and the captain, along with a few unlucky souls, stayed behind to mine what little azurite remained. But desperation soon turned to dread. While excavating, they unearthed an azurite colossus, a massive, enraged giant that claimed half of their lives before they managed to bury it under rubble. Not long after, one night, as the captain prepared food, he heard a loud bang or a screech. His remaining crew vanished without a trace. No bodies, no signs of struggle, just an unnatural silence. Alone and hunted, he retreated to a cave on Tempest's crest, where the Crowlusks still stalked, their eyes never leaving him as if they knew something he didn't. His last meal was one of the beasts. But in the end, it was the song that claimed him. His final entries speak of digging through stone until his hands bled, driven by the haunting melody. Eventually, he broke through to the shrine, where we now find his remains. His hand was clutching Circe's circlet, an ancient ring forged by the first carver of the Sturmvyn. The song led him here, and the song does not call idly. The captain had his chest crushed as if of a heavy blow, most likely by one of the golden men we find inside the shrine. They are the Vrykul that retreated from the battle and buried themselves within the cradle, in stasis, along with revenants. They were never found by the Naga invaders. But why of them we only find memories, faded echoes? On the Isle, the battle against the Naga is still fought as a memory of golden shades. Only the ones inside the shrine can harm you, and they still protect the ruins. Is this an effect of the radiant crystal, the same crystal that protected them thousands of years from the curse of flesh? We know what happened to Circe, for the answer is in her name. Circe is an enchantress and a minor goddess in ancient Greek mythology and religion. Described as the daughter of the sun god Helios and the Oceanid nymph Perse, the beautiful goddess lured any who land on the island to her home, a palace isolated in the midst of a dense wood. Through the use of potions and herbs and a magic wand or staff, she would transform her enemies, or those who offended her, into animals. Around her home prowl strangely docile lions and wolves. When Odysseus visits her island on the way back from the Trojan War, she changes most of his crew into swine. The Vrykul Circe was cursed by the dark forces of the Naga and their master, seeking revenge for her defiance. She became the Siren of Cyrandal. Her voice, once a symbol of her strength and leadership, is now the haunting song that lures all who approach the island to their doom. It was her transformation and Threre's rage and despair that shaped the Siren Isle. After nearly 10,000 years, the Sea Fury Tempest continues to roil as an echo of the elemental's power. As for the visitors to this island, they were enchanted and transformed into the animals that now inhabit it. The lion seals, the snapdragons, the boars, the crowlusks, even the one eaten by the author of the journal. The last meal of the captain of the Maiden's Whisper could be one of the members of his expedition. But how did Circe alter the forms of those she enticed ashore? We know of two types of sirens in Azeroth's waters, the Naga sirens, who are the female mages of their race, and the sirens found near the shores of Kultiras, particularly around Tiragard Sound and the Shrine of Storms. They share their sinuous forms and the dark influence of the old god in Zoth. This shape reminds of the abyssal eels and the Kuatl, denizens of the ocean's darkest depths. The Naga sirens are renowned for their mastery of spellcraft. They wield potent magic capable of ensnaring minds through arcane-infused orbs, or devolve enemies into watery minions. Sirens lure sailors to their doom, drawing them into treacherous waters or wrecking their ships upon the rocks, either to enslave them or to devour their flesh. Hearing a siren's song causes the victim, regardless of gender, to fall madly in love with the creature and becoming her thrall. You can escape their spell working if you are offered something more desirable like grog, apparently, or if you are already in love or deaf. Even after the siren is killed, the charm may linger on the victim for a while. Based on where sirens are encountered and the tale told by Wayne the Ancestral, it is likely that sirens originated from humans who fell under the dark spell of the old god Azeroth. Wayne tells of a maiden who loved song and followed him wherever he went. One day, she was drawn to the sea by a leering idol and transformed into a siren queen, bound to a sinister purpose. Although similar in appearance, sirens are distinct from the mermaids of Kultiran folklore. While both share a humanoid face with pointed, elf-like ears, mermaids lack the predatory serpentine form characteristic of sirens. They possess webbed hands and long, powerful fish-like tails that shimmer with the colors of the ocean, reminiscent of the flying fish encountered in the Emerald Dream. Like the daughters of Cenarius, they appear to have a magical origin. Mermaids possess a natural magic tied to water and stone, able to shape the sea and the rocks beneath it, but they do not wield their powers lightly. In Kultiran folklore, mermaids are linked to a mysterious entity known as the Mother. Each mermaid was said to be born with a finite amount of the Mother's power over water and stone. Once this power was depleted, the mermaid would dissolve into bubbles and perish. Their very life essence is spent when they use magic, making each act of sorcery a sacrifice. Perhaps because of this, mermaids do not become mages. Why the Mermaids Left Boralus tells the love story of Helya, a young mermaid, and Eri, a tide sage, during the early days of Cyrce. At that time, mermaids were wrongly blamed by the citizens of Cyrce for the devastating storms that ravaged the newly formed city, destroying homes and claiming lives. The two lovers could not truly be together, either on land or in the sea. Helya revealed to Eri that the mother might grant her a mermaid's tail if she performed a ritual of sacrifice. At dawn, Eri would need to cut her feet from toes to heels until the water turned red with her blood, then step into the sea. The mother would take pity on her and replace her legs with a tail. But Eri refused, bound by her duties and her faith to the Tide Mother. When a colossal storm threatened Boralus, Helya and her fellow mermaids built a seawall from the seabed, sacrificing their lives as their essence was spent in the effort. Meanwhile, Eri held back the relentless waves. Exhausted, she eventually collapsed into the harbour. As Eri lay near death, Helya performed the ritual herself, slitting Eri's feet and diving into Boralus harbour with her. When they surfaced, Eri had been transformed into a mermaid, and together they vanished into the sea. Though mermaids were never seen again, sailors honour their memory, calling the crimson-tinted sunset reflection on the sea waters Eri's blood. This is a tale of true love and sacrifice, not of infatuation or enchanting songs. It is worth noting that while sirens are shaped by the power of the old god Azeroth, mermaids originate from the mother. The folktale reveals that both sirens and mermaids coexisted near the shores of Boralus, with humans even aware of the mermaids' disdain for those feared enchantresses. It also mentions two divine entities, the Mother and the Tide Mother. Although it remains unclear whether these are distinct beings or one and the same, one thing is certain: the Tide Mother is Elune. And if they are separate divinities, then the Mother is most likely Azeroth. We can see her here, in the Hall of her memories from Ulduar. Dark waters coil around the Siren Isle like grasping tentacles. Something stirs beneath the waves, a presence that calls to the dark-tide Naga, the Kvaldir, and the blood-wake Vrykul alike. Each arrives with a purpose, each willing to bleed for the island's secrets. The Naga are convinced that its power will ensure their queen's return. Circe's refusal to wear the circlet and join Enzoth's forces may reveal that the gifts mentioned in the Naga scrolls are twofold. Hymalsul granted her attunement to the crystal, a power she uses to protect the island, which angers the Naga. But she was also transformed into a siren with the dark energy of the old gods. This rejection of the gifts echoes Helya's rebellion against Odin. Yet, the curse may have worked in Circe's favor, granting her dominion over the sea and the ability to conceal herself in its waters, while the storms kept the isle unreachable. It is possible that the transformation into a siren requires a catalyst, deep, powerful emotions such as sorrow, despair, rage, regret, or even awe in the face of darkness. In Circe's case, the grief for her fallen warriors and the desperation to protect the crystal ignited a fury that may have strengthened her resolve. Caught between vengeance, divine power, and the curse of transformation, Circe is neither wholly mortal nor entirely siren. She has become something else altogether. She now seems to command siren servants who patrol the waters around the island's shores. Yet Circe herself remains unseen. It is possible that Circe used to shape the visitors on the island, instead of a wand like the Greek sorceress, her ring, and with it, the power of the crystal. Eventually, the circlet was found within the vault, though its path there remains a mystery. It is likely that Circe used her siren song to control the Kul Tiran captain, compelling him to dig for the circlet and carry it inside before she sealed the cave's entrance. Probably by the World Soul's will, now the ring is in the hands of one of Azeroth's champions. The golden radiant echoes that linger on the Siren Isle belong not only to those who defended the crystal, but also to the innocent, those stranded on the island without malice. These echoes reveal two groups. The first is the Iron Vrykul of the Sturmvyn clan. Once servants of the Titans, they abandoned their former purpose and embraced a new one, guarding the crystal, protecting what they had come to see as sacred. The second is the crew of the Maiden's Whisper, a ship hired to transport Ashenvane miners. Unlike their employers, they were not driven by greed. Stranded on the isle by fate, they endured, trying to hold on to their humanity. Their memories are simple yet profound. Solitude, companionship, compassion, but also desolation and dread. The memories show the captain reading beside his beloved dog, all homesick crew members finding solace in each other. We see a conversation unfold between the captain of the Maiden's Whisper and a crew member, perhaps questioning why they chose to stay behind rather than return home, especially since the Azerite held no importance to them. We can see memories of those people trying to understand or even react to the echoes of the past. They interact with fragments of the runes that keep Threr in stasis. One buried a fragment, another offered it to a fallen valkyrie, and another is seen cowered in fear in front of an unknown threat. These choices suggest uncertainty. Were they trying to hide knowledge, seek guidance, or escape something they didn't understand? While the miners seem forgotten, the crew members and their struggles are remembered. Yet, having heard not the song of the crystal, but the song of Circe, they did not endure on the isle. Signs of corruption from the depths of the sea are evident on the island. The presence of the dark-tide Naga and the blood-wake Vrykul is a direct consequence of the blood-tainted waters and the corruption they carry. The crystal's cleansing properties on the briny waters are weakening, a phenomenon also seen in Hallowfall. The appearance of these crystals could date back to when the world soul consumed the planet's spirit, and they were formed from crystallized ley lines infused with spirit. While it is possible that the Titans were initially unaware of their existence, they may have used them to channel the arcane magic they instilled into the world's soul. I believe their purpose is far greater than just cleansing the land of the Shadow's influence. The two cataclysmic events, the implosion of the Well of Eternity and the devastation caused by Deathwing, likely dislodged some of these crystals. As the slumbering world's soul begins to awaken, the first memories to surface are not random. They hold meaning, tied to the chains that have bound her for ages. Like the golden memories on Siren Isle, the radiant echoes are projections of her past, taking both ethereal and physical form. This reveals a crucial truth: the boundary between her dreams and reality is dissolving. Her song swells to confront the discordant chords from the abyss of her own psyche. The memories that bubble to the surface of the planet are only echoes of this battle. By observing the nature of the blue and golden memories, we can draw a conclusion. The blue echoes are fragments of pain left by those who sought to control, shape, or break the world's soul. They carry the weight of oppression, the echoes of suffering, the lingering cries of a wounded world. If golden memories reflect defiance, resilience, and innocence, moments of peace and purpose, then the blue memories embody something darker, the nightmares that Azeroth cannot forget. It is no coincidence that the blue radiant echoes appear around the assaulted by Shadow Beledar, while the golden ones persist near the still bright Hymersal. They reflect the struggle in Azeroth's mind, a struggle that, without our help, she will lose.